hot.
Get ready for one history-making reunion. It's all about a giant star and a wild car that took the world of cinema by storm.
There was absolutely nothing like it on the road. Everybody's got to own one of these. It's man law.
It'll be cooler than ever before. DIY, Burt Reynolds and Year One are upgrading a classic. Under the hood, in the cockpit, the design's evolving, but it's still pure Bandit.
Well, we're going to dismantle this entire car today.
We're going to have a lot of fun on this.
He's bound and down.
The mid to late 70s, muscle cars were on the fade and disco was on the rise. Back then, there were those who might have labeled that as something of a lose-lose proposition. In 1977, if you went to the movies and you weren't staring at Princess Leia or Annie Hall, you were more than likely looking at a speeding Trans Am. That ride is special to that auto part giant and car-building empire known as Year One.
The first year of the Trans Am was 1969, which ironically enough is how we got our name. The company is called Year One based on the 69 Trans Am. The car's heyday years probably were the early 70s. The car kind of went away, and in our opinion was saved by the Smokey and the Bandit movie of the late 70s in 1977.
Well, more than anybody, Kevin knows that the car popularly known as the Bandit never really said goodbye, not to fans of muscle cars.
Bandit was really a character in a movie, not a car. The car was an SE or Special Edition Trans Am, and the Bandit moniker, if you will, came from Burt Reynolds' character in a movie.
Well, now that that's clear, let's bring in the car that many fans refer to as the Bandit, as well as the man who really did play him.
Hi, guys.
Now here's a guy that knows this car, and that's because when he was filming, he wasn't just watching the action from his trailer.
I was driving, partner.
Attaboy. No, your own stunts, right?
Yeah, that's
a man's man.
That's why I can't walk.
Burt won't be doing a lot of walking now that he's reunited with a 77 Trans Am.
It looked so hot, you know. I mean, there wasn't anything on the road that looked like it. I had no idea when I, stuck it to the floor what was going to happen.
One of the things that happened is sales of the Trans Am soared.
The sales of Trans Am went up 600% after the picture. 600%.
Nobody knew that was going to happen. Nobody in the movie business, and certainly nobody in the car industry.
It's hot. It still is. It hasn't aged. If they released it today as a brand new car, it would be a hot car. I think the exact idea is to have the old Bandit car, but it's now, it's very now.
Well, now it's time to learn a little more about Year One, one of the only places big enough to tackle this big project. They've worked with NASCAR superstar Dale Earnhardt Jr., actor Paul Walker, guitar legend Kenny Wayne Shepherd, and the client list just keeps growing. Kevin King and his team know muscle cars, and they know that each build has its own set of challenges.
Part of the difficulty with redoing this car is it is so structurally sound as far as its design and the way people accept it as what it is. It's when you look at the car, you can easily identify what it is. And you don't want to mess with that. That's the history of the car.
Well, by now, Burt has also become part of the history of the car.
He's become so synonymous with it and yet had nothing to do with the design or where it came from. It was just the car that they gave him to use in the movie.
I hadn't seen it. I purposely didn't look at it until we shot the scene where it rolls off the truck. Bandit car was love at first sight.
What we'll do now, like we said, is we're going to talk about 77s and 79s, different noses, different tail ends, different interior
Right.
packages, different wheels, motor options. We'll go through the whole gamut of things and see if we can't design a really cool car.
Over the next few weeks, we'll see a Hollywood star and a car parts giant work together to make a muscle car masterpiece.
And I got in it, and on the take to leave, and just popped it a little bit, and scratched it in all 3 gears, and said, this is going to be a lot of fun.
Coming up, the designers want to mess with an icon, adding some major changes. But is that going to fly with Burt Reynolds?
We didn't see eye to eye on everything.
But this, to me, is like we're kind of whitewashing it.
I'm not going to argue with Burt Reynolds about what a 77 Trans Am should look like.
Find out what part of the design caused this roadblock when we return to Celebrity Rides. Burt Reynolds is building a new Bandit. He recalls the first time he met his most famous four-wheeled co-star.
I couldn't believe it. It was like no other car around. It was almost like, not to be corny, but a black knight, you know, in shining armor, just gonna kick everybody's butt.
Well, that Black Knight is being recreated in a limited production run. And Phil Brewer from Year One is the designer who will help Burt make this model into a modern-day street machine.
The design has been a lot of fun to work on. It's been a big challenge, mainly because it is one of the more popular cars throughout history, and there hadn't been a lot of them done as far as customized, really.
Phil's boss, Kevin King, has options he'd like to see.
Changing the paint scheme, changing the interior around, doing something different with the door panels, the seats, the wheel design is critical to it. We'll go through the whole gamut of things and see if we can't design a really cool car.
The Year One gang has now put in a few days on the plans for the new Bandit, and it's soon time to bring Burt up to date. In this limited edition run, the first car will go to Burt, a man who remembers driving this model back in 1977.
There wasn't anything about this car I didn't like. You know, once in a while, and that was my fault. We got a little wobbly in the back.
I think he'll be really surprised at how well the cars run and handle compared to the old ones. The old ones were great cars for their time, but we're really taking them to the next level, bringing them up to date.
It's a real juggling act. Retain the true nostalgia of a classic Trans Am, enhance elements that bring out even more of the movie experience, and make the ride into a modern-day driver. A vehicle that will be contemporary even when it comes to elements like the wheels.
They'll be bigger, of course, 19s on the back and probably 18s on the front. So it'll really, and a much bigger, meatier tire on the back. That'll really bring the car into this era.
Phil has even more changes to run past Burt.
One of the changes that I made on that drawing was to get rid of the pinstripe and actually make little bits on the car. We're looking at having gold trim actually on the grille instead of having a pinstripe around the grille opening. We'll give it the same feel as it had before, but much simpler.
And then there's that design element everybody recognizes. Is it due for a makeover, or is it untouchable?
The hood bird to me is a big part of the car, but again, it dates a little bit. I was kicking around some ideas here of updating the feel of the bird, trying to keep the heritage, but then also make it a little more subtle. This is kind of what I'm liking now.
Well, I'm gonna make you mad, but this to me is like we're kind of whitewashing it, you know.
We didn't see eye to eye on everything. I wanted to simplify the hood bird a little bit. He was pushing for the screaming chicken being a big part of it, and I can definitely understand that.
Phil wants to respect the original as the new cars receive their own design. Still, Burt knows what he loves.
I love this. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, if you jerk your head around, you don't know. you know in 2 seconds. There is no confusion. Whereas this, you might have to look at it 2 or 3 times.
As we kick things back and forth, he pretty much has the last say, because I'm not going to argue with Burt Reynolds about what a 77 Trans Am should look like.
For me, that's the most important thing about it.
Well, while we'll never fully disagree with Burt, at the moment the most important thing just might be to build it. The task at hand is huge. Take old Pontiacs, tear them down to bare bones, recreate them with new design cues and all new gear, and retain the feel and excitement of the ride that outran Smokey. The first step, year one is going to need to track down some cars, or this limited production run is going to be very limited.
When we think about what we set out to do when we recreate this particular car, is when, as a 16-year-old boy, and you watch that movie and you realize just how strong that car is, and how fast it was, and how cool it was. So now, 30 years later, in order for me to live up to that height and create a car that comes anywhere as close, is huge. So if I can deliver a car that has better horsepower, better seat of the pants power, it handles better, goes faster in a straight line, corners better, sounds better, feels better, smells better, that's a daunting task.
Next, the right guy for the job hunts down a classic Trans Am for Burt.
Burt Reynolds is the reason I got into Trans Ams.
You won't believe how he shows his love for Burt and the Bandit, and what his wife puts up with. Also, learn his best-kept secret for tracking down your dream car. Stick around. Burt Reynolds and Year One are going to take old Trans Ams and make them into new and very improved Bandits.
All right, so now that we've decided to do the project officially, we got to go out and search for some Trans Ams. So put the normal word of mouth out. We use Collector Car Trader online, Auto Trader, any number of ways, local papers. We'll use a gentleman named Tim Phillips here locally, who's a huge Bandit Trans Am fan, Smokey and the Bandit fan, Burt Reynolds fan.
Burt Reynolds is the reason I got into Trans Ams. Smokey and the Bandit, all that. All my friends were into everything else, Camaros, Chevelles. When I seen that movie, I knew I wanted to be in a Trans Am. I know a lot about them. I can put them together, take them apart boat by boat. I can take the boats and throw them on a table and tell you where they go.
Beyond the car, Tim even has a shrine in his home honoring the motion picture.
Yeah, my wife calls it my toy room. It's got just about everything you can think of Smokey and the Bandit in there.
You name it, if it has anything to do with that movie or those cars, the guy's a nut. He's actually, I believe, found the first car that I'm going to go out and buy.
We're going with Tim. He's a pro vehicle hunter who knows all the best tricks.
The best one I've ever found is word of mouth and being able to find friends or anybody that's doing traveling. If you're ever going on vacation, you've ever got somebody that you know that drives an 18-wheeler or does a lot of traveling, tell them to look on the side of the road if you're looking for your dream car. That's the best way to find it.
Today, a local car owner told Tim where to find his non-running Trans Am, and if this dusty old ride plays its cards right, it just might find itself in the driveway of one Burt Reynolds.
This is kind of like finding a stray dog, you know it? I know. Could be the bastard's luckiest day of his life. First little diamond in the rough.
That's what we hope, anyway.
Hey, Tim.
What's going on, Kevin?
How's it going?
All right, pretty good. Think you found it?
What do we got?
Hey, Tim.
You doing, Jimmy?
How are you?
What do we got?
It's a 78 black Trans Am with T-tops. Straight body, minimal rust.
Sweet.
Still got the CB from the movie Smokey and the Bandit in it.
Right. Clean fenders and quarters?
Yeah, I opened down the doors. That's got a little Bondo wipe on it.
They're looking for cars in the $3,000 to $5,000 range, but those prices come with their share of problems. Rusted floorboards and a lot of leaks. That's what you get with these old cars. Of course, even though most of the car will end up new, they're truly hoping for minimal decay. And the team's greatest desire? Quarter panels that are still in good shape.
That's what you really hope to find, is a car that's got good quarter panels, good fenders, and the roof area where the T-tops aren't too bad. And you can live with the floor pans, cutting the floor pans out. We want to replace those with an earlier model floor pan anyway, so that's not a big deal. When you start replacing quarter panels aren't reproduced in the marketplace yet. We're looking at doing that right now. But you pretty much are cutting patches or finding someone that's got used quarters, and that's usually not very cheap.
Breaker 19, Snowman, you out there? You out there, Snowman?
Hey, Jimmy, it's got nice, happy 78 rusted floor pans.
Hey, at least we got some decent T-tops.
Yeah,
you know, they're hard to
appear
come
to be
by.
pretty good.
The guy wanted 35. I went ahead and bought it. Figured it was in our price range.
All right, well, it
We're
sounds
good.
like we already bought our first car.
Yep, we are good to go.
This will be Bandit number 1.
So just how much did a special edition Trans Am cost in 1977? And how much would a collector spend on it today? We'll find out when we return to Celebrity Rides. In 1977, a Trans Am SE went for around $6 grand. Today, if you can find one in perfect condition, it might cost $30,000 and beyond. And the price of a Burt Reynolds special edition? That'll be a whole lot more. The Brazelton Bash is Year One's annual car party. It'll take place 6 months from now, when the first Burt Reynolds special edition will be unveiled, if it can be completed. The team just found the first car to be transformed.
What do we got?
It's a 78 black Trans Am with T-tops.
It's very common, especially here in the South, just to be tooling down the road and out there sits a car. Let's get it back to the shop and blow it apart.
The car is brought to Year One, where deconstruction will immediately take place. Even in its present condition, this worn and beaten Bandit number 1 brings a lot of excitement to Kevin King and the men of his generation. It was a symbol of absolutely everything a teenager wanted back in 1977.
What memories a car like this brings back for guys our age, you know, when this was the stuff in the 70s?
Remember it being this really cool, fast, black car.
It's an American icon.
Everybody remembers it and everybody loves it.
It's astonishing how muscle cars are coming back. My son is 17, and I dread the day that I hear this terrible rumble outside and look out, and there's this monster car out there.
This ride is from a whole other era, and as Kevin will tell you, 6 months is a short amount of time when the task is taking a junker and building it into a high-powered show car.
That doesn't leave a whole lot of time to create this icon's car and get it right, get the styling cues right, get the engine mods right, get the wheel flares, the front nose, the tail lights, the floor pans, all the different things that have to be done to make this car what we agreed to build. So time's of the essence. Now we're going to talk about what changes we're going to make to the car. And the first couple of the most noticeable changes, we'll start with the front nose. We've recreated the front nose out of fiberglass, much harder, more durable than the urethane it was. It won't be as wavy, it'll finish better. The headlights, this will be removed and there'll be like a late model 87 truck headlight. Here we'll be cutting in a driving light, and these will become brake air ducts for cooling the brakes as we go. All this is being reformed. This will be smoothed over. Now we will also sell this piece in the aftermarket as an original replacement piece, so you could take a fiberglass and nose it on your car if you have a desire to do so.
I think it's going to be cool, not only for him, it's going to be remarkable for all of us, because it's going to be like, wow, the Bandit's in front of us, and he's not only the Bandit in the Bandit car, but now he's in the Super Bandit car.
In the next few weeks, you'll see it come together, all with Burt's approval.
There were a couple things that I wasn't crazy about, that they were wonderful about, saying, okay, we'll try it another way. It's still hot. It still looks dangerous. It still looks like it could eat your lunch at a stoplight.
And this new Trans Am is going to have one heck of an appetite. The Year One team will be rebuilding every inch of this classic, but it's going to start with a major teardown.
Well, we're going to dismantle this entire car today, hopefully.
I can't wait. It's going to be really fun.
Well, the fun will only come after the grinding, welding, painting, fabrication, and installation involved with this pro build. So hang on to your hats, because when they're done with it,
Just going to kick everybody's butt.
see you next time on Celebrity Rides.